All right, everyone. Interesting link in the description here. Not archive because it's from RCP. Because of their help with polling analysis, I've decided to just include their articles on their main site. So, yeah, if they get a little bit ad revenue from me replicating their shit, that's perfectly fine with me. They get a pass, as if actually just an aggregator, so they're capable of being fair. Anyway, um, the Democrats are digging their political graves and Trump is selling them the shovel. I thought this was a really good metaphor for the actual political situation right now. Trump is them out completely, and burying them, quite literally, because he's driven them mad. He's driven them to lunacy. The Democratic Party, in the aftermath of the last election, here's the problem for them. They realized that they needed to switch things up because quite clearly what they were doing before was not working. Problem is they switched it up in such a manner that it's actually worse than before. You're now arguing against the economic policies that you yourselves have promoted and pretending that Donald Trump is an evildoer for promoting them. Again, the internet is forever, so this isn't going over very well. So on the economy, sorry, there's shovelful number one. You're still in favor of open borders and legally impeding Donald Trump from attempting to deport criminals and things like that. There's shovel number two. That's not going over well. You're ignoring positive economic indicators, even where they're quite self-evidently present, like the decent jobs report, the fall in wholesale prices, which will trickle down over time. It'll take a little time to retail prices. You're ignoring that. So there's shovel number three. You're pretending that the American people still are in favor of forever war in Ukraine instead of attempting to conduct meaningful diplomacy. Shovel number four. You don't have a leader because you have schismed your own party because Trump drove you to insanity. Shovel number five. And then there's the rise of the far, far left, which is really, really going over well. Hey, you just had to kick out your own DNC vice chair for attacking your own party, probably inevitably raising his wrath in the follow-up to this. And you did that specifically because Orange Man bad. This is why they chose David Hogg. They said, well, we lost a considerable proportion of the youth vote that we had in the last election because, you know, young people are no longer receptive to our message. Let's change the message. Well, we'll symbolically get this, youngish dude in there. He's older Gen Z, I believe. I think he's like, what is he, 29? I can't remember. We'll get David Hogg in there. He can talk to our specialty argument, which is we hate guns, as well as simply being young. That's basically why they chose him. And he's actually coherent, unlike the old fogies in our party, of course. So they decided that was a good idea, and I think they were trying to bring the left back into the party because they became more schismatic. Instead, things have fallen apart. Now they've exacerbated the problem even worse. This would be the equivalent of having a cut and deciding to heal it by cutting yourself even more. Oh, well, it's not big enough yet. That's what the Democrats did. Trump drove them mad because they are in such chaos and confusion right now that they can't formulate an actual strategy and they don't have a leader. So you have the Bernie Sanders AOC apology tour thing. You have Pelosi failing to reassert herself. Schumer is arguably the closest thing you have to a party leader right now. Chuck goddamn Schumer the cuck. Chuck the cuck is your leader right now. At least he's holding it together, kind of. And he's quite clearly not, succeeding at this, but he's trying. Pelosi either disappears or comes out and makes angry statements on the news. She's lost it. She's also clearly developing the same thing that Biden has, namely dementia. The far left is off on one side. The Union Dems are in almost open revolt at this point. You're acting like Republicans. I mean, I love to see it. I have no problem with this happening because the party kind of deserves to be punished after the foist that it pulled before. And that being said, the neocons are no better, so, New boss, same as the old boss, sans certain MAGA and libertarian elements within the Republican Party and a handful of Democrats that still practice independence of thought. Beyond that, it's about all you can hope for at this point. The lawfare, the border, crime, criminal illegals, people who do not qualify for refugee status. Your opposition, arguably, and again, this is another way in which Donald Trump drove the Democratic Party insane. You're arguing against admitting refugees based on the color of their skin. Democratic lawmakers and activists have complained about Donald Trump raising awareness of the fact that the white minority in South Africa is legally and physically persecuted on a day-to-day basis. So they finally found a group of people they don't want to be able to be refugees. If they're Ukrainian white, that's okay. But if they're South African white, no, 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 no. In other words, you're arguing against African refugee resettlement. The Episcopalian Church did the same the other day. I'll be talking about that for the third time on my live stream for a reason, because it flabbergasts me, honestly. I don't understand why you would actually admit to the fact that that was the reason that you ended your resettlement program, but okay, yeah, again, your parishioners are going to be asking some hard questions next Sunday. But the link in the description, it is true. Donald Trump effectively has torpedoed the Democratic Party. What used to be the ship of state is now sinking. But the crew is retarded. And so they don't know how to patch the hole. They don't even know how to operate the life rafts in case they need them. And so now they're just scurrying around on the deck yelling at each other. That's basically the current DNC. They don't understand anything. And boy, oh boy, do I have a feeling that they are going to suffer in the fiscal sense too in the next election. If they don't get things straight, they're going to lose the midterms. That would be a disaster for the Democratic Party. And with a bunch of uniparty Republicans leaving and probably being replaced by MAGA Republicans, it's going to be one chaotic election, that's for sure. I can't wait to cover that election night. That's going to be absolutely hilarious. That's about all. Peace out.